Utah versus Kentrell Galden. How are you today, Mr. Williams?
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Thank you.
Mr. Galden also has counsel online. If you would please state your names for the record.
Jeremy D'Alessino appearing for Mr. Galden as well.
Your Honor, Drew Finlay, appearing remotely as well. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Williams, I understand that perhaps there's going to be a change of plea today. Is that correct?
That is, Your Honor.
All right. Would you go ahead and please state for the record what the plea agreement is that has been reached with the state?
Yes, Your Honor. It is anticipated that my client will be entering guilty pleas to counts 2 through 7, count 13, count 16, count 19, and count 22. And there are other parameters to this agreement. Would you like me to put those on the record now?
Yes, please.
Your Honor, it's anticipated that he will enter those pleas as charged. In other words, identity fraud as a third-degree felony with 2 counts, forgery as a third-degree felony, 2 counts, 6 counts of pharmacy fraud, which would be those count 4.
And that's a Class A misdemeanor.
And those are all Class A misdemeanors. There are 6 of those. And all of those cases, the counts I just recited, the ends are all pharmacy fraud cases. We are asking the court to waive time for sentencing. I have some specific requests as it relates to sentencing about the language, but the agreement is that my client will pay a $25,000 fine to the court. And Your Honor, I have a cashier's check in hand. I'm holding it now that I would like to publish to the court at the end of this. Upon payment of that, the state has agreed to a 402 reduction for each of those 4 felony counts. They would all be reduced to Class A misdemeanors, and the case would close at that point in time.
With credit for time served?
No credit for time served, and that has to do with his pending federal sentencing and an anticipated sentence within the Bureau of Prisons. So what we're asking is for the court to give no credit for any time served and to simply close the case.
Okay. Let's have counsel just approach, and we'll just have a brief discussion at the bench here. I mean, you might. All right, I was able to meet with the attorneys at sidebar and just to try to better understand a global resolution that is happening in Mr. Galden's state cases and with his federal case. I wanted to better understand how that global resolution would play into this case and whether or not the court felt comfortable moving forward with accepting the plea bargain and imposing a sentence in conjunction with the stipulated resolution that the parties have represented to the court. I'm going to give Mr. Williams a chance to put on the record just a little bit more detail about what's happening with the federal sentence and the amount of incarceration that Mr. Galden will be receiving as to why it might make some sense for the court to accept the plea bargain. Go ahead, Mr. Williams.
Your Honor, thank you. I'm happy to do that. Your Honor, the agreement that my client has reached with the government, the federal government, is he's already entered this plea. This is a matter of public record. He reached an agreement that has yet to be accepted by the district court. I should qualify that a sentence of incarceration of 27 months in the Bureau of Prisons would be a reasonable sentence. And we're awaiting sentencing on that currently. But the position here is that is a significant sentence. Candidly, it could be that if he were sent to the Utah State Prison on this, the board may release him far sooner than that. But he's going to do this 27 months within federal custody, which is why we're asking the court to follow this recommendation and this plea agreement that we've reached of just closing the case now. Then he can go and remain in federal custody and go do that time when that sentence is handed down.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr.
Your Honor.
Keller, is there any?
Your Honor, if I may, I'm sorry.
You may.
Thank you so much. Mr. Delacino and I have been communicating. One thing we want to bring up, and that is that in our negotiations, which have been extensive with Mr. Keller, one of the things that we talked about that there would be a no contest, and I'll let Mr. Williams explain that in person, but that these would be entered no contest. And Mr. Delacino and I just wanted to make sure that was clear with the court.
Okay, thank you for helping me better understand that, Mr. Finley. Mr. Delacino?
And Your Honor, not to gang up on the proceedings here with the three of us, but I would add to something that Mr. Williams said, which is that not only does the federal resolution contemplate a 27-month prison sentence, but it also contemplates a consecutive term of 60 months of supervised probation. So there will be a probationary component to that sentence as well that will follow the custodial sentence.
And as part of that federal probationary period, would Mr. Galden be required to, I assume he would be subject to probation searches that would involve ensuring that he is not possessing or using any dangerous weapons, such as firearms, likewise, no illegal drugs or alcohol, things of that nature?
That's correct, Your Honor, and federal probation is a sort of unique animal in the sense that it's akin to probationary terms in the state, which is to say that they could impose the entire sentence that was initially available to impose if there were to be a violation, but he would have federal probation officers for that period of time.
And Your Honor, I would just add to that too, built within the federal code is any violation of probation that includes possession of a controlled substance requires automatic revocation of the term of probation. So there is a lot riding on our client doing well after the Bureau of Prison time and then for 5 years on probation.
Very well. Anything further that you would like to put on the record at this time, Mr. Keller?
Your Honor, just briefly, the state is in agreement with the plan of action that's being set forth before the court. This is somewhat of a unique case where there have been multiple jurisdictions involved, both multiple jurisdictions in the federal and in the state systems. There's been conversations across all parties and across the representatives for the government in each of those cases as well to ensure that a proper disposition is reached globally across these cases. And so this is just really a smaller cog in the bigger wheel of ultimately seeking justice against Mr. Galden.
Yeah, I assume then that the Weber County case, which I understand there is a charge in Weber County or maybe charges, is that going to be part of this global resolution as well?
That's correct, Your Honor. There have been conversations with Weber County, and it's my understanding, I believe, that plea has already been taken in Weber County.
That case has been dismissed. That gave rise to the federal case. So same conduct. There's been a plea entered in federal court. The state dismissed their charge.
Very good, thank you. All right. Mr. Galden, have you had enough time to speak to your attorneys about this decision to enter into this plea bargain?
Yes.
Have they gone over with you the rights that you would be waiving by accepting this plea bargain and entering no contest pleas and being sentenced today and having this case closed?
Yes.
Do you understand that a no contest plea has the same effect as a guilty plea in a lot of ways? The court will sentence someone on a no contest plea the same as it would a guilty plea, although you would still be maintaining your innocence. You would acknowledge that the government has sufficient evidence to meet each and every element of the charges that you would be pleading no contest to.
Yes.
Mr. Galden, are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol today?
No.
Are you on any medications right now?
No.
Are you thinking clearly today and understanding everything that's happening in court?
Yes.
Has anybody forced you or coerced you to get you to accept this plea bargain?
No.
Are you pleading no contest today because you believe that the government does have sufficient evidence to be able to prove each of these each of the 10 charges that you would be entering a no contest plea to today beyond a reasonable doubt?
No.
Are you acknowledging that even though you're maintaining your innocence, that the government would still be able to prove these charges in court potentially, and so you believe it's in your best interest to accept a plea bargain?
No.
In order for me to accept your no contest plea, I just need to better understand and make sure that you are acknowledging that the global resolution of these cases is in your best interest, and that there is some basis for you to be accepting the plea bargain. There is some evidence that you believe would justify you accepting the plea bargain. Are you able to acknowledge that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Has he been able to sign that statement of defendant supporting his no contest plea?
Your Honor, I did not know the court's policy. I'm going to have him sign this before Your Honor.
Very good.
If I could approach.
Just hand that to the bailiff, please. Thank you. Mr. Golden, I just want to make sure that you have reviewed and read this entire document, which is entitled Statement of Defendant Supporting Your Plea and Certification of Counsel. Have you read this document?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about the rights you would be waiving by accepting the plea bargain?
No.
Okay. Let's have a factual basis to support the 10 charges he's pleading to.
Your Honor,